Seth Greenberg, ESPN college basketball analyst, and joining us, Continental Tire Coaches Corner. Coach, let me start here. I just had an unbelievably white-hot take on who's the best player in the draft, who I like the potential, NBA potential. Can you guess who I like NBA potential-wise for this draft later this month?
Well, I hope it would be DeAndre Ayton because he's a genetic freak.
Nope.
In terms of upside, he reminds me a little bit of Embiid. But I would like to know your opinion on who you think is the greatest potential, Dan.
Jaren Jackson Jr. III.
Oh, I'm a big Jaren Jackson fan now. In terms of, that's not far off. Jaren Jackson, another guy, you talk about 7'5" wingspan, shoots threes, runs the floor, can defend. You'd like to see him rebound the ball better. He's got ridiculous pedigree. I'd make you the GM as long as you don't have multiple Twitter accounts.
I'm not going to take Markelle Fultz, though.
No, that's probably not a good thing. The interesting thing is I feel bad for Fultz, but, one thing, I talked to a lot of people before. I thought Tatum last year was the best player. I mean, to me, in terms of transitional skill set.
Yeah.
But, I talked to Jim Boeheim, who I think evaluates as good as any player, coach I've ever talked to in terms of just having a feel for players. And he was involved with Fultz with USA Basketball, and he swore by the kid. And he and I actually had a pretty heated argument about it one day on the phone. And but Fultz, we don't know yet. I mean, obviously he has some issues, he has some maturity issues, but you never know how it's going to play it. We still forget these kids are 18, 19 years old. I mean, they're not a finished product mentally, physically, emotionally. The transition to having money, having freedom. And having pressure. So, I mean, I think sometimes we overreact to 1 year. I hate to use the word because I think the whole thing's kind of a joke, but it's not as easy as it looks, and it is a process to some.
Well, you don't have finished products coming out of college like we once did. When you had somebody with at least 3 years of experience, maybe 4 years of experience, and that wasn't a negative, 20 years ago. Now you're trying to assess a kid who's 18 years of age, 19 years of age, even 20 years of age. Sounds like an old kid coming out of college. So it makes it even tougher when you have these high draft picks that you just can't whiff on them. And that's where this is going to be on Brian LiAngelo the rest of his career, because we're going to look at Jason Tatum, and every time you see him, you go, how'd the Sixers pass on that guy? How did they pass on Jason Tatum?
I don't know. I passed on Steph Curry, so I'm not going to make any comments. I think that.
Wait, why did you pass on Steph Curry?
We didn't have a scholarship available. That's why. I mean,
you cut somebody, Seth. You run somebody off to give him a scholarship, right?
We weren't allowed to. We ended up with plenty of scholarships available, but we weren't allowed to over award. That's just the way it was at our school. So, but anyway, in terms of you're looking at Tatum. I mean, to me, Tatum just. His size, his length, his feel, I hate the cliches that the scouting gurus use, but scores at all three levels. But the guy's wired to score, and he does have a lot of different ways to make buckets. So that's why I like Tatum. But it's an inexact science, and you're right. The problem is that the analytics guys say that, there's a big difference drafting an 18-year-old than a 21-year-old, that the 18-year-old's upside far exceeds where a player is at 21, which is mind-boggling to me because 21 is far from a finished product. And, I'd love to see the data, but I was talking to a bunch of NBA guys just the other day, and they said that there is a difference. Now, you can't make mistakes. I mean, it's such a valuable commodity to draft at the top. And I like your Jackson pick. I'd like to see him rebound the ball better. He's Marcus Camby with a jumper. That's my comparison.
All right, I'll take that. Here's another thing that I was looking at. The Cavs sitting there at number 8. Is there a player, because you're not going to know what LeBron's going to do free agency-wise, is there a player that you can take who can complement LeBron, but also if LeBron leaves, you can give him a little bit more of the piece of the team?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think there is an 8. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we talked about Colin Sexton yesterday, and to me, I'm not crazy about Colin Sexton. I think he's explosive. He's kind of an Eric Bledsoe, old Jay Williams type player. Physically strong, attacks, explosive. Not a great shooter, not a great decision maker. But when you get past the bigs, and let's face it, the top of the draft is going to be loaded with bigs. You've got guys that are all ifs. I mean, they're going to be good players. They're going to be very good players. They could be all-stars. But when you start going through it, Mikal Bridges is a spot-up shooter, a good defender, a guy with length. Lonnie Walker's a freakish athlete. Miles Bridges is changing positions. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a 6'6" point guard with feel. Robert Williams, you don't even know if he loves basketball. You start going through the players that are available. Michael Porter could drop. Now, he's difficult to play with from what people say. He's got to have the ball in his hands, but he is talented. There are good players after 7 and 8, very good players. Guys will be in the league a long time. I don't know how many all-stars are in that group, though.
How?
And that's finding Donovan Mitchell. I think that everyone needs to find Donovan Mitchell. And like Bruce Brown, the kid at Miami, I like him as a potential Donovan Mitchell type guy. He didn't have a great sophomore year because he was hurt. Shot it better his freshman year. Freakish athlete, good floor game, can defend. Great work ethic, high character, 6'9" wingspan. He's my Donovan Mitchell type for this draft.
Seth Greenberg, ESPN college basketball analyst, joining us. Continental Tire Coaches Corner. Wingspan is the big phrase. Watching the draft special last night. Everybody was 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan. He's 6'9" with a 7'5" wingspan. Mo Bamba has a 7'10" wingspan. It's crazy.
Yeah, wingspan is big because, wingspan it impacts the game so many different ways. I mean, like Keita Bates-Diop, 4 or 5 wingspan. Because the positionless NBA and the new NBA where you're playing smaller, you're seeing more switching. You're seeing guys that can obviously use their length to get deflections, use their length to rebound the basketball. Draymond Green has changed the NBA because Draymond Green guards 2 to 5, actually 1 to 5. Draymond Green can play center at times for Golden State at 6'6". In a lot of ways, the NBA is looking more and more like European basketball with a 3 at 4 and a 4 at 5.
If I gave you the choice, you had to pick Klay Thompson or Draymond Green.
Oh, I would take Draymond Green because Draymond Green's a connector. Okay. Like Klay Thompson's a specialist.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson obviously does something as well as anyone in the game, but Draymond Green impacts the game every single time down the floor on both ends. He rebounds the ball, he initiates a fast break. He can pick and pop. He's a willing, he makes the next pass. And think about early in the Houston series, he jacked up Harden. That was on purpose. Now, I mean, he sends a message to everyone. His edge, he's the voice of that locker room. And Kevin Durant's ridiculous, doesn't say much. Steph Curry's ridiculous, doesn't he'll give you the shimmy and all that, but he doesn't impact others. Draymond Green impacts your team and the other team.
If you could have LeBron or Kevin Durant for the next 4 years.
Ooh, I think I would take Kevin Durant. I can't imagine LeBron. And here's my thing. 82 games or 100 games now, the amount of minutes that he played for 4 more years, he can't do that. I know look, he's incredible. He's a specimen like no other we've ever seen. And he works at his trade like no one that we've ever seen in terms of his conditioning. Kevin Durant, his body type, I think he plays forever. He's younger. He's a more consistent shot maker. I think he's easier to play with, even though LeBron's going to just take over a series and win a game or win a series for you. But if you're talking 4 years, the amount of mileage on LeBron James, I mean, he's changed the tires 4 times. I mean, it's amazing the amount of minutes the guy's played.
Here's another one for you. If you're the Lakers, why would you bring in LiAngelo Ball?
You know what? I have no idea. I might get rid of Lonzo Ball. So forget about bringing in LiAngelo Ball. I mean, Lonzo Ball's not worth his problems. How's that one for you? Look, Lonzo Ball had a nice rookie year. He's Ricky Rubio. He rebounds it. He can shoot it. He can pass it. He sees plays early. He's got unbelievable feel for the game. He connects. But until he gets a middle game and until he can show that he can actually shoot more than 30% from the 3 consistently, he's a really good player. And I know he's only 19 years old. And the other question is he more interested in his music than his basketball? But at this age, He should be totally invested in his game. It seems like he's invested in his music game as much as his basketball game.
I just can't have his dad involved in another player when he just publicly criticized the medical staff with the Lakers. And now you're going to, unless you're doing this to placate Dad and Lonzo, you're going to bring in LiAngelo just to work him out. Because I don't even know if LiAngelo is an NBA player.
He's not an NBA player. Look, when I was at Long Beach State, I wouldn't have recruited LiAngelo Ball. All right? We had good players. We had pros. He's a good shooter. He can make shots. He's not an NBA player. I mean, you're talking about fiction. I'm sure he's a great kid. Obviously, look, to be in that environment, made a bad decision, no doubt about it. Spent time in Lithuania, which is like, basically being in purgatory. But like NBA play, these guys are he's not an NBA player. I mean, that's just the way it is. He can't beat you off the bounce. He's not guarding anyone. He's got a little toughness to him. He can shoot it. But, I mean, to me, LeVar Ball is toxic. That's just the way it is because he has an agenda. And look, I'm all for parents being involved in their kids' lives. I think it's great. But you can't be toxic in the NBA. Name me one. Do you know one other parent in the NBA besides Mrs. Durant who gives her son a hug after games?
Draymond's mom.
Yeah, Draymond's mom, but not the same way.
But she's involved. She's involved. She's calling out Kevin Durant like ISO ball. Like she's on Twitter calling.
Yeah, but I mean, like this guy's wiped out.
But he's worth it though. Draymond is worth any trouble that goes along with it. Lonzo hasn't proven that he could be.
Yeah, and
he's not the trouble. It's his dad that it's not worth the trouble.
But here's the deal. Dan. Yeah. You're right. But they're connected at the hip.
Oh, I know.
Oh, by the way, you know anyone that has bought any pair of those sneakers?
I don't. How nervous would that make you if you were recruiting? So you're a college coach and you go in and you see Dad. Would you continue to recruit no matter how good that kid is after you meet Dad?
He's got to be better than Dad's problems. I thought Steve Alford, he was never an issue at UCLA. Now, obviously, they had a magical season.
Yeah.
Until the end of the season when he took a shot at T.J. Leaf and Thomas Welch.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like, you imagine, I mean, that was so awful, the things he said about those two guys. It's ridiculous. But no, I mean, the kid's got to be better in his problems. And it's weird. Just to me, it's so strange to see an NBA player's parent that involved. And we give him the platform, whether it's you guys or ESPN, and he understands how to use that. And he's made money off it, which is, I don't mind parents that are involved. I do have a problem with people that are mean-spirited. And, to me, it's not fun and games when you're misogynistic. It's not fun and games when you're talking about someone else's child. It's not fun and games when you're pointing fingers at people's professions, not because of knowledge, but more because you're trying to, empower, yourself and your kid. When you bring other people in the conversation, to me, that's mean-spirited. So, I have being an involved parent, and he's obviously raised really nice kids. And like I said, I think LiAngelo made a bad decision, but I'm not sure that's who he is. But he always brings other people into the conversation. And to me, it's like when I was coaching. When I had a parent call me, I'd say, I'll talk about, academics, social, anything else, but I can't talk to you about basketball because once basketball comes to the equation, someone else's son comes into conversation, and that parent is not there to defend his son.
I'll leave you with this. How surprised were you that Dante DiVincenzo decided that he was going into the draft?
Yeah, he had to after the combine. But here's the deal, and I love Dante DiVincenzo. My daughter's a Villanova graduated 2 years ago. But here's my Dante issue. He's great. He's a shot maker. He's tough. To me, he's got a little Bobby Sir in him. But let me ask you this. If you watched the West Virginia game, and Javon Carter and those guys absolutely getting up and underneath him.
Yeah,
you watched that game.
Yeah.
What would your opinion be of him?
Well, I don't know about dribbling the ball in traffic. I think he's got incredible athleticism, and he's got range. He's not afraid to take it to the hoop. But I don't know. He's not a point guard.
No, he's a shot maker. He's kind of a microwave type guy. I think the biggest thing today is with Kevin Huerter, what happens with him, and those Kentucky kids. What do they do? I think those are the two big conversations today. You got 4 players from Kentucky that have to make a decision.
I know.
And then you've got Kevin Huerter, who
Herter's good.
Maryland. Yeah, but he's no different than he was all season, Dan. I mean, like, people lost their mind at the combine. He's a shot-making guy who has a high basketball IQ, but it's no different than when it was during the season.
Yeah.
He just made shots.
Good stuff, Seth. Keep firing it up.
Dan. All right, brother. Great talking to you.
Thank you, man.
For having me.
That's Seth Greenberg.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.